Smart 24, driving business.
Amanya gange nze Naswa Sharafa mbeera Kawempe era nga nkola liquid soap. Liquid soap okuva covid we yajja abantu ne batandika bagamba banabe mu ngalo awo naffe twatandikira okuyingira mu business ya liquid soap. Wano mmazeewo weeks 2 era nga nkuguse mu liquid soap banyongeddemu skills mweyo yennyini product yange. Skills zenjize wano ngenda zikozesa okulaba nga product yange ekyukamu kuba era we baali batuyigiriza twayiga batuyigiriza mu business development ne batuyigiriza design thinking tuwetadde tutya mu ngato z'abakasitoma baffe buzibu ki bwe bafuna mu products zaffe. Twalaba omukisa ne tuddayo eri bakasitoma baffe ne tubabuuza bizibu ki bye basanga kati nga nze akola liquid soap ne mbuuzaako awo bizibu ki bye musanga mu business yange. Abamu ne baŋŋamba liquid soap wa mazzi, liquid soap ayokya.
Its first entirely new product in 8 years. The US tech giant claims the device is the most advanced personal electronic device ever, reassembling a pair of Sky goggles. It features a glass 23 million pixel screen which covers the upper face and is controlled using the wearer's eyes, hands and voice. Vision Pro is labeled as mixed reality as it combines virtual reality in which the wearer is fully immersed in the digital world with augmented reality where digital images are overlaid onto the real world. The device, which is the first new product since the Apple Watch was launched in 2015, blends a video feed from the outside world with a virtual world displayed on screens inside the headset. Now, it is set to rival Meta's Quest Pro from last year and Quest 3, which was announced last week. Today marks the beginning of a new era for computing, said Apple's CEO Tim Cook as he launched the new device at the company's annual software developer conference on Monday.
Smart 24, driving business.
Yes, we'll be back from the break exactly 3 minutes past 8. This is Smart Means Business. I'm your host. And inspiration is definitely something that we don't compromise about here in Smart Means Business. And we believe that it's very vital for any business personnel aspiring to be something. Of course, it may not necessarily be in line with business, but it could be also something that we can attach to career or something close to that. So let's get inspired for this moment. Of course, something very vital that he mentioned in there, where he said that the journey for entrepreneurship has something to do with purpose. You know, why do you do what you do? You know, that's a very big. That's a very big question that should be, I believe, the very first time. It should be the first question that should come into your mind when we talk about entrepreneurship. What is the purpose? What's the sole goal? You know, in time, away from just you making the money and, you know, you make all this, but the question is, what are you exactly, you know, planning? What problem are you solving for the society? Because at the end of the day, we're not looking at business models that are just going to die with you. We're talking about business models that are going to be evolving in relation to the changes in society, tastes and preferences. That is something that is worth also noticing if you get to realize it from that space. So it's very key and vital. Well, now heading straight into our business update of the day today. We had some technical difficulties yesterday when I was trying to address it, but today we've been able to rectify this. Now, something in line with the digital marketplaces, and now we see the impact of platforms like the Color Precision on the small and intermediary enterprises. How does this help in terms of running businesses? Now, in the digital age, businesses worldwide are seeing transformative shifts in how they connect, market, and grow Africa. Now, we know that Africa, with the rising internet connectivity and what we call vibrant young population ready to embrace digital commerce, as in Uganda and across the continent, the question remains, are digital marketplaces truly reshaping the business landscape for the better, or they are creating a set of new challenges? But of course, like I said, we look at this from the positive side, looking as we outweigh the cost of these technologies vis-a-vis the possible benefits that can actually be obtained when using these particular technologies. Now, launched by Color Piara, the Color Precision promises to be one on top, to be one-stop shop for African enterprises that is to be in position to access essential business services from public relations to digital marketing and business-to-business networking. But how far can a digital marketplace go in delivering actual growth, especially for Ugandan small and intermediary enterprises who struggle with what we call resource constraints, limited digital literacy, and market access issues? Now, digital marketplaces are a global trend, with African business rapidly, of course, joining the wave. Now, by centralizing services such as PR, advertising, legal consultation, and even data analytics, platforms like the Color Precision offer Ugandan businesses, both large and small, digital storefronts and what we call a support hub. Now, the potential is immense, especially for the country's micro and small enterprises, which make up to 90% of Uganda's private sector. Now, with internet penetration in Uganda now at about 24%, online platforms give these enterprises the chance to reach customers far beyond traditional markets. Now, a 2023 report by the International Finance Corporation, that is the IFC, estimates that e-commerce in Africa could actually boost the continent's GDP by $500 billion by 2030 if market access and digital literacy challenges are addressed. Now, for Uganda, this could actually mean a long-awaited breakthrough for the small and intermediary enterprises, helping them to move beyond subsistence operations to growth-oriented models, as we see. Now, despite their promise, the digital marketplaces are really okay. Some experts believe they're not really a one-fit solution for all, but in this case, we see they are. If you to look at what amount of money you are actually going to save, it's not compared to the amount of money that you're going to invest to have the service run into your enterprise. Remember, the purpose of all these establishments is to make sure that the small and intermediary enterprises' competitiveness is enhanced, on the global stage. Now, if we're talking about being part of the bigger African market of about 1.4 billion people, you need to have interconnectedness, the connectivity, the infrastructure. And now this can step all the way from the physical infrastructure, and now we look at it from the side of the digital infrastructure. Having an established digital infrastructure can lead to interconnectedness between businesses, across the continent. Now, platforms like this are very vital for that. Now, a McKinsey study on the African small and intermediary enterprises revealed that 68% of small businesses struggle with transaction fees in digital marketplaces, especially those new to online platforms. Now, for Ugandan small and intermediary enterprises, the 5% commission on color precision may actually seem modest to them. Yeah, so that is something that we are looking. Now, a critical question is whether Color Precision and other marketplaces cater for the unique needs of Ugandan African businesses. Now, Uganda has a distinct market. Let me say that, Uganda has a distinct market in that line with different dynamics, including informality and a large subsistence sector. Now, platforms that understand and adapt to these realities are more likely to succeed in making a meaningful impact. Now, one solution could actually be a tiered pricing structure, allowing smaller enterprises to access basic services without a 5% fee. Now, this could make the platform more accessible while still generating revenue. Now, it's also essential that digital marketplaces like Color Precision engage with what we call the local policymakers to create regulatory environments that can actually protect small businesses while fostering digital innovation. Now, beyond the business metrics, platforms like this have more profound impact on communities. Now, of course, when small enterprises gain access to larger markets, it often translates into higher incomes. We're talking about job creation and improved livelihoods. However, these platforms drive up operation costs, reduce profit margins, or force small businesses into a more competitive, less sustainable market environment that can actually have a ripple effect to that. Right. Now, of course, as we take a look here in Kampala, we see that a group of artisans has actually been making jewelry and handcrafts on international digital marketplaces for a few years. Now, while this has expanded their market reach, many artisans say they are under pressure to reduce the prices due to competition from mass-produced goods. Now, for many, this has meant longer hours with minimal pay increases. But digital marketplaces must balance accessibility with what we call fair trade practices to ensure that businesses and their workers are not exploited, by what we call a rush to globalize. Now, as Uganda's digital infrastructure improves, there is a growing trend towards business and digital business solutions. Now, by 2030, Uganda's e-commerce market is projected to triple, potentially making digital marketplaces a mainstream component of the business ecosystem. However, analysts still warn that platforms must evolve to meet the specific needs of African markets. Recently, we were having a discussion in line with Jumia's performance within Africa, and part of the key issues that were cited out were all in line with the market models and the way the market in Africa responds to certain. The African market responds differently according to what innovation you have put in place as compared to the European market. So this is a dynamic that ought to be really investigated, with in-depth, with in-depth analysis as we explore its possible implications to that. Now, as Uganda's digital infrastructure improves, we know that there is a growing trend towards digital business solutions. Now, by 2030, Uganda's e-commerce trend is actually growing, and by 2030, the market is potentially making digital places a mainstream component for the business ecosystem, as we can see. However, analysts warn that platforms must evolve to meet the specific needs of African markets, like said here. So we are proceeding to see how this is going to be a very instrumental in boosting African businesses. Now, to sustain growth and foster resilience, these platforms must not only offer services, but also digital training, fair pricing models, and what we call localized solutions that are affordable for Ugandan small and intermediary enterprises. Affordability, it's very key. Providing a solution that is not affordable is something that is very expensive and costly, but a solution, it would rather be cheap, but at least when it can serve a number of people, of course it benefits you, the profitability rate, and you'll have the numbers, you'll have the sales. But the most important thing is, does your development solve the problems of the end user? That's the ultimate question that needs to be asked. Now, according to a recent survey that is by the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, only 22% of African small and intermediary enterprises using digital platforms report profitability from international sales. Now, for platforms like Color Precision to reverse this trend, well, they need to prioritize affordability, transparency, and accessibility. I repeat this. According to the recent survey by the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, only 22% of African small and intermediary enterprises using digital platforms report profitability from international sales. So this calls for a platform like Color Precision. It calls for affordability, transparency, and accessibility as the market competitive advantage factors, if I may put it that way, to make it a little bit relatable to that. Now, these precisions represent both groundbreaking opportunity and what we call a complex challenge for Ugandan businesses. Of course, while these platforms offer unprecedented access for markets and professional services, they actually also introduce new hurdles. Talking about transactional fees, digital literacy gaps, and competitive pressures that can actually be challenging to small enterprises. Now, as Uganda's economy continues to digitize, the success of platforms like the Color Precision will definitely hinge on their ability to truly cater for local businesses, provide training and implementing fair pricing structures. And of course, only then they can actually help usher in an era where Ugandan small and intermediary enterprises and local businesses can actually grow, they can innovate and contribute meaningfully to both their local communities and broad African economy. So this is something that we're looking to. But then another aspect here we need to look into is support for the local startups, because one of the key challenges has been in line with having confidence and respect in Ugandan startups by the locals themselves. But of course, when you compare the degree of service that the local startups can offer to the small and intermediary enterprises is kind of determined by the degree of investment that is injected into these startups, because having an established clientele base and you ought to serve them to the expectations at the end of the day. I believe if you're to have that running 24/7 with the customers experiencing the service to the expectations, and when the service experience is consistent, well, that comes with a heavy investment. So this is what is called for by the participants into the startup ecosystem. Well, exactly 20 minutes past 8, Smart Means Business. Andrew Barija, your host. Let's take a break, and entertainment is coming up.